Hey guys, it's Tina Logassi here from Premier Loom Designs, and I'm today going to show you how I make my pumpkins for my Harriet dolls. You can use these for other things too. They make an amazing bowl filler, and maybe for other dolls to hold. You can even turn it into like a jack-o'-lantern if you cut out eyes and nose and a mouth out of maybe some black felt and put it on. So there's a lot of cool things you can do. So to start, you're going to take, and the patterns are available below for free. You're going to take a rusty orange piece of fabric. If you don't have one that's, the color that you want, you can take just plain fabric and paint it. I've done that before. If you want a bit of an aged look, you can also take some coffee and kind of stain it to darken it a bit. So I'm going to start with my circle, and you'll see mine's got a seam in it. It's just because I was using up some last scraps and I don't care that there's a seam in it. So I've got some orangey colored thread, and I'm just going to do a running stitch all the way around. Close to the edge, I'm probably about a 1/4 inch from the edge, and I'm just taking some pretty large running stitches around. Options for stuffing this, you could just use conventional stuffing. I'm going to be using fabric scraps because that is something I always have a lot of around, and I'm always looking for ways to reduce how many scraps I have going into a garbage can. So at this point, I'm kind of at zero waste in terms of fabric, which is awesome. And this is one of the things I make, that I do stuff with the scraps. And it's nice too because it'll add a bit of weight to your pumpkins. So someone picks them up, they don't have a lightweight, cheap kind of feel to them at all. So that's always nice. All right, I'm just coming around. You don't have to be too precise with this. It is going to be covered up in the end. Okay, and I'm going to come up where my knot is, kind of beside. And at this point, so my right side is outside, my rough side where I had my seam is on the inside. I'm going to take some fabric scraps and cram that thing filled. So I really have some random scraps to work with today. There's some felt in there, some flannel, some leftover scraps from working on witch skirts, and I'll cup it in my hand to help me stuff it. Oh, there's a piece of normal stuffing. Okay, and that's looking pretty full. So now I'm going to pull on this string. This one, you kind of want to keep your eye on it because you don't want it to pull backwards through. So I'm just going to lift it out of there and kind of pull up on both. And then I'm going to keep stuffing. Sometimes you'll want to like shape it a little bit, and then you can see what more you need. At this point, I do need to cut a bit more. Okay, I'm going to go back to this. And again, you do not have to use fabric scraps. You may not have any. It's just what I have around. Okay, I'm pulling both my sides up. Okay, and I think I might add just a couple more pieces. All right. And I'm happy with that shape. So I'm going to do my best to tie this off as tight as I can. Pull it close together. Again, don't pull too hard because you don't want that other end to come pushing through, but you can pull it tight and then take a stitch that will, and keep it holding. So then it won't start to fray. Oh, see, I just lost my other side, but that's okay. I'm just going to go through there. a little bit, and you can see how that works. Go back on myself. So basically just trying to pull this together. And you can go back over this if you want to tighten it even more. Okay, so that's the basis of my pumpkin. And just another shaping. So I've got my glue gun handy. The next step is in here. You're going to want to take a piece of branch, if you have it, and I'm going to cut off a stem. And I'm going to pick the side that I think looks best, which is actually this end. And I'm going to work a little hole in my opening and stick it in. And then I'm going to take my glue gun and glue kind of all around the base. Get that in there. Okay. And then the next step is to take your two leaf shapes and I've got some green thread here. And I'm going to go through and do a pretty tight running stitch. That'll help it crunch up and give it a nice shape. Pull that through. And I want it to scrunch up like that because it makes the leaf look a little cooler. So then once I kind of have it where as gathered as I want it, I'll just take a small stitch down there, pull it a little tighter. So it'll get easier to work with when you do that. And I'll pull another stitch. Okay. Whoops. And then I'll go back up through. Mostly because I just want to get my thread back up to the top. Okay. Got kind of a gathered leaf. I'm going to knot off. These. And I'm going to save this. Should be enough thread to do my second one. And I'm just going to glue this guy in place like that. Don't worry about the mess around here. That will fill in with some Spanish moss after. So I'm going to get glue in a couple spots. And then I'm going to do my second one. Okay, I'm going to offset it a little bit from the other one. All right, so then now we can get a little more creative. So you'll see I've got some of these picks and things. I just picked them up at the thrift stores. So this is an old pick that must have been from like a fall wreath. I've got this little piece that came off of a Christmas one. There's this one, which is really cool. And I'm thinking about pulling off one of these little guys. So I'm just going to cut it off. I thought that would look really cool. So basically I'm just using old picks that were going to be thrown away. And this one, I might shorten it a little more. Actually, no, I'm going to take a pencil and give it a bit of a curve because I think that looks kind of fun. So this, I think I will position in there. So, whoop, there's my curve. So I'm just going to stick a bit of glue in there. Pop that branch right down in there. Curve them around. So I got that piece in. And this one, I think where I want it, maybe right there. Practically have it in already. Just add a bit more glue to really secure it in place. I also have, I'm not going to put on this one, but I have these rusty stars, and that would look kind of fun hanging off of one of these as well. And then this one, I'm also going to bend it, but I'm going to take something finer, this fine paintbrush, and curve it around, just so that it's looking a little different. Okay, and then I'll just stick that in with the other one. So I'll just stick a bit of glue in between there. And pop this in. Okay. And then the next step, or the final step I should say, is to take some Spanish moss. Okay, so I got some Spanish moss here. And this, I'm going to be putting some glue around the base of this and kind of just wrapping it through. And around here, I may actually just end it at that end because this side's pretty nicely covered. You can see on this one, I went around basically any of the areas that didn't have adornments coming off of it. I added the moss to just fill in this messy area. So I'm just going to put some glue in there. And go ahead and pop some of that moss on. And decide, well, you know what? I might just have it come around because I think that would look nice. It can be a little messy to work with. So you do need a little patience. Okay. And I might just leave that flowing like that. And I'm going to adjust those a little bit how I want them. And I think that looks good. So this is going to end up in the little hands of one of my Harriet witches. So I hope you liked this mini tutorial on how to make a pumpkin that you can use as a bowl filler or for the hands of a doll. If you like this video, could you subscribe to my channel below? It is free and it really helps people find me, as well as if you like the video below. That would be amazing. Thank you so much and have a good day.